Marcus Chen pushed through the crowded market area of Kepler Station. The air smelled like a mix of different alien foods and engine oil. Voices in dozens of languages filled the space around him. As a xenobiologist, he was used to being around aliens, but this place still amazed him every time. He was looking for the Altarian delegation. His job was to help set up trade agreements between humans and the peaceful blue-skinned aliens. Most species in the galaxy thought Altarians were weak and boring. They never fought wars, never caused trouble, and always seemed scared of their own shadows. Marcus found them near a food stand. 3 small figures hunched together like frightened animals. The largest of them, probably their leader, was maybe 5 feet tall with pale blue skin and huge dark eyes. The other 2 looked even younger and more nervous. A group of Corvan traders stood nearby, laughing loudly. The Corvans were big, gray-skinned bullies who thought they owned the galaxy. Their leader, a massive alien with scars covering his face, pointed at the Altarians. "Look at these pathetic creatures," the Corvan said in rough universal language. "No wonder their planet produces nothing useful. They are too weak to even stand up straight." Marcus felt anger rise in his chest. He had seen this before. Strong species picking on weak ones just because they could. It made him sick. The youngest Altarian, a girl who looked barely adult by human standards, stepped forward. Her voice was so quiet Marcus could barely hear her. "Please forgive us if we have done something wrong," she said to the Corvans. "My people do not wish to cause problems. We will move if you need this space." The Corvan leader laughed. "At least one of you knows your place. Yes, move along. This area is for real traders, not beggars." Marcus had heard enough. He walked over to the group, his 6-foot frame making the Altarians look even smaller. But he was not here to intimidate them. "Actually," Marcus said to the Corvans, "this is a public area. Everyone has the right to be here." He turned to the young Altarian girl. "Are you part of the trade delegation from Altair Prime?" She nodded, looking surprised that someone was talking to her politely. "Yes, sir. I am Zephyra. I help with translation and cultural questions." "Marcus Chen, xenobiologist with the Human Research Division," he said, offering his hand. She shook it carefully, as if afraid she might break something. Her skin was cool and smooth. The Corvan leader made a disgusted noise. "Humans, I should have known. You are almost as weak as these blue worms. Always protecting creatures that cannot protect themselves." "Maybe," Marcus said calmly. "But at least we do not pick on being smaller than us to feel important." The Corvan's eyes flashed with anger, but before he could respond, a station security drone floated over. The gray aliens grumbled and walked away, knowing they could not start fights on a neutral station. Marcus turned back to the Altarians. The older leader bowed deeply. "Thank you, human Marcus," he said. "You did not have to help us. We are grateful." "No problem," Marcus replied. "Want to grab some food? I know a place that serves decent meals for different species." Zephyra looked at her companions, then nodded. "That would be very kind. We have not eaten since arriving this morning." As they walked through the station, Marcus noticed how other aliens reacted to their group. Most ignored the Altarians completely. A few gave them looks of mild disgust or pity, but everyone seemed comfortable, dismissing them as harmless. The restaurant Marcus chose had tables sized for different species. They found a spot where the Altarians could sit comfortably. Marcus ordered human food while the others got a simple vegetable dish. "This is my first time off our home world," Zephyra said as they ate. "Everything here is so different. So many species in one place. What do you think of humans?" Marcus asked. He was always curious how other species saw his people. Zephyra tilted her head, thinking, "Your people are strange. Most species in the galaxy value strength above all else." but humans help those who cannot help themselves. Why do you do this? Marcus smiled. Maybe because we remember being weak once. A long time ago, humans were just scared animals trying to survive. We learned that helping each other was the only way to make it. That is a beautiful idea, Zephyra said softly. My people believe in harmony and peace, but even we sometimes forget to help strangers. After eating, Marcus showed them around the station. Zephyra asked many questions about human culture. She seemed especially interested in human music and art. Why do humans create things just for beauty? She asked as they looked at a holographic art display. These serve no practical purpose. Maybe beauty is a practical purpose, Marcus said. It reminds us that life is more than just surviving. Zephyra stared at a piece showing Earth's sunrise. You have a very different way of thinking. Most species would call it weak or foolish. What do you call it? Marcus asked. She was quiet for a long moment. I think it might be the strongest thing of all. By the end of the day, Marcus felt like he had made a friend. Zephyra was different from other Altarians he had met. She was still quiet and polite, but there was something else in her eyes. A depth that seemed older than her young appearance suggested as he walked her back to the Altarian quarters. She stopped and turned to him. Thank you for today, Marcus. You showed kindness to strangers for no reward. That is rare in the galaxy. Not that rare, Marcus said. You just have to know where to look. She smiled, the first real smile he had seen from her all day. For a moment, something flickered in her expression. Something that might have been sadness or regret. But it was gone so quickly Marcus thought he might have imagined it. Good night, human Marcus, she said. I hope we can be friends during my time here. I would like that, Marcus replied as he watched her disappear into her quarters. Marcus felt that this was the beginning of something important. He had no idea how right he was. 3 days after meeting Zephyra, Marcus was woken by emergency alarms screaming through Kepler Station. Red lights flashed in his quarters as he grabbed his clothes and rushed to the command center. The main screen showed a terrible sight. A civilian transport ship called the Star Wanderer was sending distress signals. The ship carried over 200 refugees from different worlds. Pirates had attacked them 2 hours ago, leaving the vessel badly damaged and drifting in space. The ship's life support is failing, announced Commander Torres, the human officer in charge of the station's emergency response. We have maybe 6 hours before everyone on board dies. What about the Galactic Council? Asked Dr. Yates, another xenobiologist. Surely they will send help. Torres shook her head. They are having a committee meeting to discuss proper rescue procedures. Could take days to get approval. Marcus felt sick. Politicians talking while people died was not new, but it never got easier to accept. I volunteer for rescue mission, said a familiar voice behind him. Marcus turned to see Zephyra standing in the doorway. She wore simple work clothes instead of her usual formal robes. Miss Zephyra, Commander Torres said gently, this is very dangerous work. The pirate ship is still in the area, and the transport could explode any moment. My people have healing abilities, Zephyra replied. The injured will need help that your medical bay cannot provide. I must go. Marcus stepped forward. I am going too. My xenobiology training includes emergency medicine for different species. Torres looked unhappy but nodded. Fine. We have one fast rescue ship available. Take Dr. Yates as well. But if that pirate vessel shows up, you run immediately. No heroics. An hour later, Marcus sat in the pilot's seat of the rescue ship Quicksilver. Dr. Yates handled communications while Zephyra sat quietly in the back. Marcus had expected her to be nervous about her first dangerous mission, but she seemed calm. Almost too calm. Approaching the transport now, Marcus announced. Damage looks worse than the report said. The Star Wanderer was a mess. Hull plates hung loose, and atmosphere was leaking from several holes. Emergency lights flickered weakly through the viewports. "I am reading life signs, but they are getting weaker," Dr. Yates said. "We need to work fast." Marcus docked with the transport's emergency port. The airlock opened with a hiss, and they stepped into chaos. The ship's corridors were dark, except for emergency lighting. Injured aliens of different species sat or lay against the walls. "Medical supplies are in Bay 3, Dr. Yates said, checking her scanner. "I will start there." "I will check the engine room," Marcus said. "Maybe I can fix the life support." "I will help with the wounded here," Saphira added. Marcus ran toward the back of the ship, dodging broken pipes and floating debris. The engine room was worse than he feared. The main power core was cracked, and radiation was leaking everywhere. He put on a protective suit and started emergency repairs. 20 minutes later, he had the life support working again, but just barely. As he headed back to help with the wounded, he heard something that made him stop. Voices coming from the main cargo bay. Angry voices. Marcus crept closer and looked through a broken door. 5 pirates in heavy armor stood over a group of refugee children. The aliens were small and furry, probably from the peaceful marine colonies. "Where are the adults hiding?" The lead pirate growled. "We know there are valuable prisoners on this ship." The children huddled together, too scared to speak. The pirate raised his weapon. Marcus did not think. He charged into the room, tackling the nearest pirate. The alien was bigger and stronger, but Marcus caught him by surprise. They crashed into a wall, fighting for the weapon. "Human!" the lead pirate shouted. "Kill him!" Pain exploded through Marcus's chest as an energy blast hit him. He fell to the ground, barely conscious. Through blurred vision, he saw the pirates advancing on the children. Then Saphira appeared in the doorway. The small, Altarian girl looked at the 5 armed pirates. They laughed when they saw her. "Another weakling," the leader said. "This will be fun." What happened next confused Marcus's hurt brain. Saphira moved like water, flowing between the pirates faster than their eyes could follow. She did not fight them exactly. She just touched each one briefly as she passed. All 5 pirates collapsed within seconds. "Sleep," Saphira said quietly. "Dream of better choices." She knelt beside Marcus, placing her cool hands on his wounded chest. Warmth spread through his body, and the pain disappeared. But it was more than just healing. He felt stronger than before, like every cell in his body was working perfectly. "That was foolish," she said, but her voice was gentle. "You could have been killed." "The children," Marcus gasped. "Had to help the children." Something strange crossed her face. Pride, maybe. Or recognition. "Yes," she said. "You did." By the time rescue ships from the station arrived, all the wounded were stable and the pirates were secured. Dr. Yates kept asking how Jafar had healed so many people so quickly. Altarian medicine was good, but not that good. "I was lucky," Saphira said each time. The injuries were not as bad as they looked. But Marcus had seen his own chest wound. It should have killed him. Now there was not even a scar. During the trip back to Kepler Station, he watched Saphira carefully. She sat in the same quiet way as before, hands folded, eyes downcast. But Marcus had seen her move. He had felt her healing power. There was more to this girl than anyone knew. "Saphira," he said finally, "how did you learn to move like that?" She looked up, and for just a moment, her eyes seemed ancient. Much older than her young face. "I do not know what you mean," she said. "I was just trying to help." Marcus decided not to push, but he would be paying more attention from now on. Something about Saphira did not add up, and Marcus was good at solving puzzles. As they docked at the station, He made a mental note to check her background more carefully. The galaxy was full of secrets, and he was beginning to think he had just met a big one. Marcus could not sleep that night. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw Zephyra moving between those pirates like she was dancing. No normal person moved that way. No scared young alien girl had that kind of power. He got up and went to his computer. If Zephyra was hiding something, maybe her records would give him clues. Her official file was exactly what he expected. Born on Altair Prime 23 years ago. Studied languages and cultural exchange. No military training. No special abilities listed. A perfectly normal, boring life. Too perfect, Marcus thought. He dug deeper, using access codes he probably should not have. Zephyra's birth records checked out. Her school files were complete. Even her medical history looked right. But something felt wrong. Marcus was good at languages, and he had noticed something during their conversations. Sometimes, Zephyra used words that sounded old. Really old. Like dialects that had not been spoken in hundreds of years. He pulled up historical language files and started comparing. After 2 hours of searching, he found what he was looking for. 3 times during their rescue mission, Zephyra had used phrases from ancient Altarian, the formal language of their old empire. Before they became the peaceful species everyone knew today, nobody spoke ancient Altarian anymore. It was a dead language, studied only by historians. Marcus leaned back in his chair. Either Zephyra was a very dedicated history student, or she was much older than she claimed to be. The next morning, he decided to test his theory. He found Zephyra in the station's garden area, sitting by herself and watching the artificial sunrise through the main viewport. "Good morning," he said, sitting beside her. Then, in ancient Altarian, he added, "The light of distant stars guides our path." Zephyra turned to look at him. For just a second, her face showed complete understanding. Then she caught herself. "I am sorry," she said in universal language. "I do not understand those words." "It is an old saying," Marcus replied, switching back to universal. "From the ancient Altarian Empire. I thought you might know it." "I am not very good with history," she said, but Marcus could tell she was lying. Before he could ask more questions, emergency alarms started blaring again. But this time, it was different. Instead of rescue calls, the station's defense systems were activating. Marcus and Zephyra hurried to the command center, where crowds of aliens were gathering around the main screens. Commander Torres stood at the center, her face grim. "What is happening?" Marcus asked. "Galactic War Party," Torres replied. 3 ships, heavily armed. They are demanding tribute from every vessel in the system. Marcus felt cold fear in his stomach. The Galactic were one of the most violent species in the galaxy. They traveled in packs, taking what they wanted and destroying anything that opposed them. Their ships were fast and powerful, and their warriors lived for battle. "Can we fight them?" asked Dr. Yates. "Not a chance," Torres said. "Kepler Station has light defenses only. We are a trade hub, not a military base." We are a trade hub, not a military base. And there are no council ships close enough to help. On the screen, the lead Galactic vessel was broadcasting its demands. The alien captain was huge, even for his species, with ritual scars covering his face and arms. "Attention, weak creatures of this station," the Galactic growled. "I am War Leader Galactic the Red. You will provide us with food, fuel, and valuable goods. Any who resist will be destroyed. You have 1 hour to comply." Panicked voices filled the command center. Some aliens wanted to give the Galactic what they demanded. Others talked about evacuation. Nobody suggested fighting. Marcus looked around the room and saw something interesting. Most of the aliens looked terrified, which made sense. but a few species seemed to be watching Zephyra instead of the screen. A Corvan trader who had ignored her before was now staring at her with something like respect. A group of insectoid merchants had moved closer to her, as if seeking protection. Zephyra herself sat very still, but Marcus could see tension in her shoulders. She was fighting some kind of internal battle. "What if we negotiate?" Marcus suggested. "Maybe we can offer them something they want more than random supplies." Torres shook her head. "The Korthik do not negotiate. They take or they destroy. There is no middle ground." "Actually," said a quiet voice, "there is one option." Everyone turned to look at Zephyra. She stood slowly, and Marcus noticed that other aliens were unconsciously moving aside to give her space. "The Korthik respect strength above all else," she said. "If someone could challenge their war leader to single combat and win, they would leave without taking anything." "That is suicide," Torres said. "War leader Gorthik has killed dozens of opponents in personal combat." "Maybe," Zephyra replied. "But it is better than letting them raid the station." Marcus stared at her. "You are not seriously thinking of fighting him yourself?" For a moment, Zephyra looked directly at him. Her eyes held depths he had never seen before. Ancient depths. "I am thinking many things," she said carefully. Before anyone could respond, an aide rushed into the room. "Commander Torres, the Korthik are sending a boarding party. 40 warriors, full battle armor." Torres cursed. "They are not even waiting for our answer." The next hour was chaos. Station security tried to prepare defenses, but everyone knew it was hopeless. The Korthak warriors would cut through them like paper. Marcus found himself running through the corridors with Zephyra, helping to evacuate civilians. She moved with that same impossible grace he had noticed during the pirate fight, but now he was watching for it. "Zephyra," he said as they helped a group of young aliens reach safety. "Who are you really?" She stopped moving and looked at him for a long moment. Around them, other aliens were panicking, but she seemed perfectly calm. "I am exactly what I appear to be," she said. "A young Altarian who wants peace." "Young Altarians do not know ancient Altarian language," Marcus said. "They do not move like trained warriors, and they do not make Corvan traders bow to them without realizing it." "What do you mean?" Zephyra asked, but Marcus saw recognition in her eyes. "Look around," Marcus said. "Half the aliens on this station are treating you with respect they do not even understand. Like you are someone important. Someone dangerous." Zephyra was quiet for several seconds. When she spoke again, her voice carried a weight that had not been there before. "Marcus," she said softly, "there are things about the galaxy you do not understand. Things your people are not ready to know." "Try me," Marcus replied. Before she could answer, the station shook as the Korthak boarding ships attached to the outer hull. In minutes, those warriors would be inside, and people would start dying. Zephyra closed her eyes, like she was making a difficult decision. When she opened them again, something had changed. The scared girl was gone, replaced by someone much older and more dangerous. "Stay close to me," she said. "And whatever happens, do not interfere." Marcus nodded, though he had no idea what she was planning. All he knew was that his quiet Altarian friend was about to reveal secrets that would change everything. The Korthik warriors came through the station like a storm. Marcus heard weapon fire and screams from the outer sections as Zephyra led him through maintenance corridors toward the central plaza. She moved with complete confidence, like she knew exactly where she was going. "How do you know these passages?" Marcus asked as they climbed through a narrow tube. "I studied the station plans," Zephyra said. But Marcus noticed she never hesitated at intersections, never checked directions. She knew this place like she had built it herself. They emerged into the main plaza, just as war leader Gorthik strode in with his warriors. The Korthik was even more terrifying in person. nearly 8 feet tall, covered in battle scars, and armed with weapons that could cut through steel. His red eyes swept the crowd of cowering aliens with obvious disgust. "Pathetic," Gorthik snarled. "This station is full of weaklings and cowards. We will take everything and leave you to starve." Commander Torres stepped forward, trying to maintain some dignity. "War leader, surely we can reach an agreement that benefits both our peoples." Gorthik laughed, a harsh sound like grinding metal. "Your people? I see no people here. Only prey animals." Marcus felt anger burn in his chest. He had heard this attitude from too many species. The idea that strength was the only thing that mattered, that helping others was weakness. It made him sick. "We are not prey," Marcus said, stepping out from behind a support pillar. Every eye in the plaza turned to look at him. Gorthik's warriors raised their weapons, but the war leader held up a hand to stop them. He seemed amused. "A human," Gorthik said. "I have heard of your species. Young and foolish, but brave in your stupidity. Tell me, human, why should I not kill you where you stand?" "Because killing defenseless beings does not make you strong," Marcus replied. "It just makes you a bully." Gorthik's expression darkened. "You dare insult me?" "I am stating facts," Marcus said. "Real warriors protect the weak. They do not prey on them." The Gorthik leader took a step forward, his hand moving to his weapon. Marcus knew he was about to die, but he could not stop himself from speaking. "My people have a saying," Marcus continued. "The measure of a civilization is how it treats those who cannot defend themselves. By that measure, you are not civilized at all." Gorthik roared with fury and drew his blade. But before he could strike, alarms started blaring throughout the station. Not attack alarms this time. Something else. Something that made every alien in the plaza go completely silent. Emergency screens around the plaza flickered to life, showing a news broadcast from the Galactic Communication Network. The reporter was a Centauran, her usual calm professionalism replaced by barely controlled fear. "This is an emergency bulletin from Galactic Central Command," she announced. "The Damasmic Tribunal has issued a formal evaluation notice for the species known as humanity. All human colonies and vessels are ordered to prepare for immediate assessment." Marcus felt the blood drain from his face. Around the plaza, other aliens began backing away from him like he had suddenly become radioactive. The Cosmic Tribunal was a legend most species preferred not to think about. An ancient court that judged whether new spacefaring civilizations deserved to survive or should be eliminated for the safety of the galaxy. They were older than recorded history and more powerful than the Galactic Council could imagine. No species had been formally evaluated in over 1,000 years. Most people thought the tribunal was just a myth. According to official sources, the reporter continued, humanity's rapid expansion and aggressive territorial behavior have triggered automatic review protocols. The tribunal's fleet was detected entering human space 6 hours ago. All attempts at communication have been ignored. War leader Gorthik slowly lowered his weapon. Even he looked shaken. "Human," he said quietly, "it seems your species has bigger problems than my warriors." Marcus could not speak. His mind was trying to process what this meant. Every human colony, every ship, every person he had ever known was now under judgment by beings with the power to end civilizations. The tribunal's last recorded action was the elimination of the Nexari Empire 3,000 years ago, the reporter went on. The entire species was deemed too dangerous to continue existing. Their homeworld is now a dead rock. Zephyra had gone completely still beside him. Marcus looked at her and saw something he had never seen before in her expression. Conflict, like she was fighting a war inside her own mind. "Zephyra," he said softly, "you know something about this." She did not answer immediately. Around them, the plaza was emptying as aliens fled to their ships. Even the Korthak warriors were backing toward the exits. Nobody wanted to be near humans when the tribunal arrived. "I know many things," Zephyra said finally. Her voice sounded different, older, sadder. Commander Torres was trying to maintain order, but it was hopeless. Panic was spreading through the station like fire. Marcus heard ships launching, carrying aliens who wanted to get as far from humans as possible before the judgment began. "Gorthak," Marcus called to the Korthak leader. "You wanted tribute from this station. Are you going to run now because of some ancient boogeyman?" The war leader stopped walking. Pride warred with fear on his scarred face. "The tribunal is not a boogeyman human. They are death itself. No force in the galaxy can stand against them." "Maybe," Marcus said. "But my people will not go quietly. We will fight. Then you will die," Gorthak said. But there was something like respect in his voice. "Your species is stupid, but you have courage. I will remember that when you are gone." The Korthak warriors left, taking nothing. For the first time in their history, they had walked away from a raid empty-handed. But Marcus could not feel proud of that small victory. His entire species was facing extinction as the plaza emptied. Only Marcus and Zephyra remained. She stood perfectly still, staring at the emergency broadcast with an expression he could not read. "The tribunal will evaluate humanity's worthiness," the reporter was saying. "The assessment typically takes 72 hours. At the end of that time, they will render judgment. If the species is found lacking, elimination will be swift and total." Marcus sank onto a nearby bench, feeling overwhelmed. 3 days, he said. 3 days for the entire human race. Zephyra turned to look at him. For the first time since he had known her, she seemed to be seeing him clearly. Really seeing him. "Marcus," she said softly, "you spoke the truth to that war leader, even knowing he could kill you." "Why?" Marcus shrugged. "Someone had to. If we do not stand up for what is right, what is the point of surviving?" Something changed in Zephyra's expression. A decision being made. "You have no idea who I am," she said quietly. Marcus looked at her. The scared alien girl was completely gone now, replaced by someone ancient and powerful. Someone who had been hiding in plain sight. "Then tell me," Marcus said. The empty plaza felt like the end of the world. Emergency lights cast strange shadows as Zephyra stood before Marcus, no longer hiding what she truly was. The air itself seemed to bend around her, and when she spoke, her voice carried the weight of millennia. "You have no idea who I am," she said again, and this time the words held power. "I am Zephyra Anathkorl, first arbiter of the Cosmic Tribunal, she who judges species." Marcus felt his heart stop. The scared little alien girl who had thanked him for protecting her from bullies was one of the most powerful beings in the galaxy. One of the judges who would decide if humanity lived or died. "You," he whispered. "You are here to judge us." "I was," Zephyra said. "I came to this station 3 weeks ago to observe your species in secret. To watch how humans behaved when they thought no one was looking." Marcus stood up slowly, his mind reeling. The disguise. Acting like a typical Altarian. "It was all a lie." "Not a lie," she said softly. "A test. For thousands of years, I have judged species based on their strength, their technology, their ability to survive and expand. But observation has taught me that true strength lies elsewhere." She walked to the viewport, looking out at the stars. "Your people are young, Marcus. Barely 300 years in space. By galactic standards, you are infants. Most species at your level are focused only on growth and conquest. But humans are different?" Marcus asked. "Yes." She turned back to face him. In 3 weeks of observation, I watched your people do things that made no logical sense. You helped aliens weaker than yourselves. You risked your lives for strangers. You showed kindness to those who could offer nothing in return. Marcus thought about their first meeting when he had protected her from the Corvin bullies. You were testing me that day. I was testing all of you, she confirmed. But you, Marcus-chun, showed me something I had never seen before. When that Korthic warrior threatened to kill you, you could have stayed silent. But you spoke up for the defenseless aliens on this station, knowing it would cost you your life. The plaza's main screen flickered, showing news feeds from human space. Massive ships were appearing near Earth and human colonies. The Tribunal fleet was beautiful and terrible, their vessels looking more like living creatures than machines. Your people are mobilizing their fleets, Zafira observed. They know they cannot win, but they will fight anyway. Even now, human ships are moving to protect weaker species in their territory. They could run, scatter to distant stars. Instead, they stand ready to defend others. Marcus felt a mix of pride and despair. That is who we are. We do not abandon those who need help, even if it means dying. I know, Zafira said. That is why this judgment has become so difficult. She moved to the center of the plaza, and Marcus could see power gathering around her. The air shimmered like heat waves, and he felt pressure in his ears. For 3,000 years, I have served the Tribunal, she said. We were created to protect the galaxy from species that would consume or destroy others. We eliminate those who prove themselves a threat to galactic peace. And humanity? Marcus asked, though he was afraid of the answer. Your species' rapid expansion triggered our automated monitoring systems, she explained. The pattern looked dangerous. Aggressive territorial growth, military buildup, resistance to established authority. All classic signs of a destructive civilization. Marcus could understand that logic, even if he disagreed with it. But you came to observe us directly. I argued for personal evaluation instead of automatic elimination, Zafira said. My fellow arbiters thought it was unnecessary. They had seen the pattern before, but I convinced them to give me time to study your species firsthand. She gestured to the empty plaza around them. I expected to find another conquering race. Warriors who valued strength above all else, who saw kindness as weakness and cooperation as failure. Instead, I found something unprecedented. The main screen now showed human colonies evacuating their civilian populations, while military ships formed defensive lines. But Marcus also saw human vessels protecting alien trade routes, human medics treating wounded beings from other species, human diplomats trying to negotiate peaceful solutions. Your people confuse me, Marcus, Zafira admitted. By every standard we use to measure civilizations, humanity should be eliminated. You are territorial, aggressive, and unwilling to accept limits. But you are also compassionate, protective, and self-sacrificing. Those are not contradictions, Marcus said. They are the same thing. We fight because we care. We are aggressive in defending those we love. Zafira smiled, and for the first time, it was her real smile. Not the timid expression of a scared alien girl, but the ancient, sad smile of someone who had seen too much. Yes, she said. I understand that now. Your strength comes from your empathy, not despite it. You are dangerous not because you will conquer the galaxy, but because you will change it. Marcus felt hope stirring in his chest. Does that mean... The Tribunal fleet is expecting my report, Zafira said. I could tell them that humanity is a standard aggressive species that should be eliminated. The judgment would be swift and final. She paused, looking out at the stars where human ships were preparing for a battle they could not win. Or I could tell them the truth. That humanity represents something new in the galaxy. A species that has learned to be strong and kind at the same time. A civilization that protects the weak instead of preying on them. What will you tell them? Marcus asked. Zafira raised her hands, and Marcus felt power flowing through the station's communication systems. When she spoke, her voice was transmitted across the galaxy to the Tribunal fleet. Fellow Arbiters, she said formally, I have completed my evaluation of the human species. My judgment is as follows. Humanity is not only worthy of survival, but worthy of protection. They have achieved something we thought impossible, true civilization. Marcus could hardly breathe as she continued. Furthermore, I recommend that humanity be granted guardian status under tribunal protection. Any species that threatens them will answer to us directly. Silence filled the plaza for a long moment. Then responses began coming in from the tribunal fleet. Ancient voices speaking in languages older than human civilization, all expressing shock at Zafira's unprecedented decision. Sister Arbiter, came a formal reply. This judgment is highly irregular. No species has been granted guardian status for over 10,000 years. Because no species has earned it, Zafira replied firmly. Until now, humanity has taught me that strength without compassion is not strength at all. It is merely the ability to destroy. True power lies in choosing to protect instead of conquer. Marcus watched as the massive tribunal ships began withdrawing from human space. The judgment was over, and humanity had not just survived. They had been elevated to a status no one could have imagined. Why? Marcus asked quietly. Why risk everything for us? Zafira turned to look at him one last time. Because you showed kindness to a frightened alien girl who needed help. Because you were willing to die defending strangers. Because you reminded an ancient judge what civilization truly means. She was fading now, her disguise falling away to reveal her true form, ancient, powerful, and beautiful in a way that hurt to look at directly. The galaxy will be different now. Marcus Chen, she said as she disappeared. Your people will help change it. Be worthy of that responsibility. And then she was gone, leaving Marcus alone in the plaza with the knowledge that humanity's greatest strength had always been its greatest weakness. The inability to stop caring about others dot in the distance. Human ships were standing down, and across the galaxy, weaker species were realizing they had found new protectors. The age of humanity had truly begun.